Hi guys, it's Shell, Sunbury Housewives. Welcome back to another video. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for stopping by. Hit that subscribe button to see future videos. I post new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. In today's video, I am making a really adorable coffee mug with a drip and sprinkles. So let's go ahead and get started. I am starting out with a 14-ounce coffee mug. I've already had and sanded it and prepped it, and I'm going to go ahead and paint it with this pop of color a paint. It's kind of a chalk paint slash acrylic paint. It dries super quick. Couldn't spray paint it this day, so I'm using this, and I do paint it twice to get some decent coverage. And I'm speeding through it because you don't want to sit and watch me just paint a mug. Paying special attention around the handle. That can be tricky to paint around. So once this first coat dries, I do paint the second coat off camera. And then once that is dry, I do put 20 ounces of epoxy and mixed in a little bit of marshmallow from the Glitter Heart Co. And here I am paying special attention to the handle so that it doesn't really glob up around that handle. And then I will epoxy the rest of the tumbler. And for some odd reason, I do it a little differently than I normally do. I'm kind of just sort of hand spinning it. For some odd reason, I think my husband may have been in the room and we were talking and I really wasn't paying full attention. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here. And again, paying really special attention to that handle. Then once I do get it spinning, I just make sure to get really even coverage and pop any bubbles that there may be. And I will let this spin over about 8 to 10 hours to fully cure before we move on to the next step. This did not take 20 milliliters, but that's how much I mixed up. I'm just so used to mixing up about 20 milliliters. I would say this probably used a little more than 10 to fully cover this particular mug. I did take it off the arm of the spinner and really just paid, like I said, close attention to that handle because it started to kind of muddle up but around the edges of the handle. So I wanted to just make sure that I really did pay special attention to that. And then I did set it off on my other spinner just to make sure that that spun. So now that that was done, I did sand any areas that might needed attention. And then I had cut out some vinyl in red, and then of course the static cling got better of me and stuck right to that vine or that cup. So I just had to pull off that C, stick it back to the transfer tape, and then do it over again. So I'm just lining it up to exactly where I want. I know I wanted it more towards the bottom because I was going to do that drip there up at the top, and I didn't want it to interfere and cover up any of that vinyl. So once I got it to where I wanted it, I'm going to cut off part of the backing. Of course, my clumsiness, it started to pull away, so I just got it lined up again and kind of held it down there a little bit, and then pulled off the backing on half of that, smoothed it down, and then got the other half too, doing the hinge method. And then smoothed out the vinyl and pressing down the vinyl as I go along, because this is a curved surface. It was a little bit tricky, and carefully pulling away that transfer tape. Now, because these are smaller letters, I did wait to weed out a lot of that inside of those letters until I got it onto the mug. So that's what I'm doing here. So now I'm going to go ahead and place the last bit of vinyl right in the center of that vinyl we already placed down, and then weed out the little bits that need to be weeded and pull away the transfer tape on that. Just making sure that I press down all that vinyl so it sticks. And then once that's done, I'm going to use this, well, not that, but this dark chocolate looking mica powder. The first mica powder I showed you was too bronzy, so I found this like really dark brown mica powder to mix up into my epoxy. This is about 10 milliliters of epoxy, and we're going to use this to make the drip. This is kind of a lengthy process to do the drip. It probably took about 30 to 40 minutes to fully do, to be ready. And I'm grabbed my cornstarch to really thicken up. And I just add a little bit at a time to help speed this along. Otherwise, this would probably be sitting here for a little over an hour. So here it had been sitting for probably about 20 minutes, and it's starting to really start to thick up, and you can see how much thicker it looks already. And I'm just testing to see if we're getting closer, and it's a lot thicker now, and I'm going to test it by seeing how thick it is. And I just scrape it along the side, and it's still not thick enough. It's still too runny. It would have just poured down the side of the tumbler. And yeah, so I'm going to add probably a little bit more cornstarch to thicken it up. You can use cornstarch, or you can get, there's this stuff called, can't remember the name of it, but cornstarch works just as good. If I can remember the name of it, I'll put it in the description box below. So I am going to add more cornstarch, a little bit at a time, until we get to the consistency that you want. You want it to be a really slow drip, so that it doesn't just run all the way down your tumbler. So, like I said, it was probably about between 30 to 40 minutes. So now that I'm gotten to the consistency that I know that it's not going to completely run down the tumbler, it'll be about time to start adding the drip to the tumbler. And I'm just running it along the rim of my medicine cup to make sure that we're good to go. And I have a very slow drip going, and I think we're pretty good. I like what I'm looking at. It's not a fast drip, it's slow, and I know it's not going to ruin the tumbler. So I'm stirring a little bit more, making sure that's not just pouring off my stick, and just making sure. And I'm liking what I'm seeing. So I'm going to go ahead and I put my arm back into my tumbler so I have control of my tumbler. And I'm just going to do a small line across the top of my tumbler. And then in certain spots, I'm going to kind of scrape the popsicle stick on to the tumbler where I want a bigger drip. And that's where I want my longer drips to be. And that was more in the back of the tumbler. And you'll see me like take the popsicle stick and kind of just scrape it off, like right here. And that's where I want the bigger drips to be. So I'm going to do that all the way around the tumbler. Where my decal was, I don't want as big a drips because I don't want it covering up the decal completely. And then I'll tap the tumbler on either my desk or on my hand to kind of get that drip to fall a little more. And then I will also help the drip along with kind of dragging the popsicle stick down the tumbler a little bit to add some drip as well. And if I get any drips where I don't want it, I just take a Q-tip with some alcohol and clean that right up. And then I'm going to continue to put any drips where I want them. And I do hit it with my torch a couple times to pop any bubbles because I did a lot of mixing. You know, there is going to be quite a bit of air in there. And I do want to pop those so that there's no bubbles. So as you can see, I'm taking that popsicle stick and kind of helping drag it down a little bit further. And I do hit that handle as well because that handle has a nice big curve to it. It wasn't going to drip down on its own. Once I'm happy with all of the drips, I do grab out these polymer clay sprinkles that I got, and I dump them out, and then I just take these really fine needle tweezers, and I just start placing the sprinkles just randomly all over into the drips. And no rhyme or reason, just place them wherever I thought that they wanted to, where I wanted them to go. If you happen to notice that your drips are going farther down than you'd like, just flip your cup upside down to let those drips come back up towards the top. And then I did give this mug 3 final coats of epoxy. And once that was cured, this is how the final mug looks. Absolutely love how this turned out. And the sprinkles, you can still kind of feel the texture, which I was hoping would happen. And I absolutely love how this turned out. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a great big thumbs up, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye, guys.